Let's got it. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, my name is Malik Washington. Welcome back to my podcast, Breaking Mental Barriers. How you all doing this fine day or evening, wherever you are across the world, across the globe? I hope everyone is doing fantastic, doing great. If you're doing good in whatever aspect of life, no matter where you're from, no matter what you do, no matter who you are. For those of you that do not know me, once again, my name is Malik Washington. I know it's been quite some time since I've done my podcast. It's actually been some months since I've actually been doing any type of recordings, and that's because my life has been quite shifty lately and trying to retain some stability with things that are going on there, plus going to and fro throughout different parts of the world and things of that nature. So I'm definitely enjoying myself in that respect. But I have definitely missed podcasting, which means I definitely miss speaking to you all in regards to what's been happening around the world. My freaking goodness. I mean, there's just so much that's been happening. There's so much I want to touch on because I've missed a lot of things that I would have loved to talk about. And don't get me wrong, I've been talking about it with some of the people that are within my inner circle, but I haven't really been discussing it with you guys who I don't know out there in the world that are currently watching this video, and even those who are watching my video that know of me, but they really don't know my perspective because we don't get to have that conversation one on one. But if we did get to have that conversation one on one, you will definitely know that I am very passionate. You will definitely know that I am opinionated. You will most certainly know that I try to be as objective as possible. Naturally, I have my biases, but I attempt to try to understand both sides of the coin. I try to be fair. I try to be understanding without going into ad hominems or anything like that because well, the one thing I don't want to do in conversation is going into talking about or slighting someone's character and not actually listening to what the other side has to say, even if it is diametrically opposed to my belief. That being said, I just want to say I am so glad to be back and starting back up breaking mental barriers. It wasn't ideal to actually have it set up in this way, but it's going to be like this temporarily because once again, I still am trying to get some things set up on my end to make this look a hell of a lot better than what it is right now. But this is going to have to fare until further notice, right? Because there are other matters that I'm trying to attend to first. Once I do that, then I can come back to this and do this on my own free time and basically get back in tune to talking to you guys, hearing what you have to say. Maybe eventually later on at some point, if this channel grows, depending on obviously my activity on the channel and being consistent, I can definitely hear you guys' takes on it. Of course, I can read the comment sections and things like that. But it's always good to hear voices as well and hear what other people have to say besides what I say on a pre-record or even if I decide to go live, right? But ladies and gentlemen, enough about me. I just wanted to give that little short monologue just to go into reintroducing myself. I'm finally back. Welcome once again to Breaking Mental Barriers. Let's go on ahead and get this started. So, today's topic, more particularly today's title, is going to be entitled You Do Not Own Neither Our Voices, Neither Our Vote. And I'll say it again for those of you that didn't hear it. The title of this video is You Do Not Own Neither Our Voices, Neither Our Vote. And so, why did I title it this way? Ladies and gentlemen, our world, let me be more specific because I can only really speak to the country that I live in, which is the United States of America. In the United States, Americans are extremely divided, right? You could say we've been divided for a long time, and we've always had our sects politically, religiously, socioeconomically, socioculturally, you name it. But more specifically within the realm of politics, we have been very divided as far as our takes on various issues related to our either our personal lives, anecdotally, or as a collective. Particularly the issues that we have been dealing with in America is the overflow of illegal migrants that are coming into the United States, high prices in grocery stores. We have been dealing with a lot of censorship in the sense of that when people tend to attempt to express themselves or express perhaps maybe some unpopular beliefs or unpopular opinions or even unpopular theories about what's going on within our own country, they tend to get shot down very quickly, right? We deal with a lot of division in our families. We deal with a lot of division between men and women. There's so much that's going on all fronts that the bigger picture is not being looked at, and that is that the United States of America is being ambushed on all fronts, particularly when it comes to us voting for who we want to vote for. And so what do I mean by this? Just not too long ago, our ex-president Barack Hussein Obama recently came out on, was it CBS News? I believe that recorded it. I believe it was CBS News. Other news networks obviously covered it as well. But he gave a direct quote that of which he was addressing to men, but let alone black men, discussing his disappointment and how there isn't a lot of turnout that's happening within the polls for Kamala Harris as it was for him when he was running back when he was going up against Hillary Clinton, Mitt Romney, and all of them. I want to give you guys the direct quote fully of what he said directly that I had even also listened to the audio for, but I'm going to read it here because once again, due to the way my setup is, I would love to have shown y'all the video. Hope at some point I will, but until then, I'm going to read this quote because I wrote it down all the way through. So I was very thorough and listened to it as I was writing it down. But this is what Obama said, and then I'm going to directly address this particular quotation that I heard, and I'm going to give my perspective on it, and then we'll take it from there. So Barack Obama goes into this. He says, I'm going to go ahead and speak some truths if you don't mind. My understanding, based on reports I'm getting from campaigns, communities, and communities, is that we have not seen the same kinds of energy and turnout in all quarters of our neighborhoods and communities when I was running. Now, I also want to say that it seems to be more pronounced with the brothers. So if you don't mind, I'm going to speak to y'all directly and say that when you have a choice that is this clean, when on the one hand you have somebody who grew up like you, knows you, went to college with you, understand the struggles, the pain and joy that comes from those experiences, to say but work harder, do more, and overcome and achieves the second highest office in the land, and is putting forward concrete proposals to directly address the things that are vital in our communities. From housing to making sure our fathers, grandmothers can afford medicine, and make sure that we are dealing with prices that are too high and rents that are too high, and making sure that we maintain the ACA, or I abbreviated it to say the Affordable Care Act, and care about things like education and entrepreneurship in our neighborhoods. And you have someone who has consistently shown disregard, not just for the communities, but for you as a person. And you are thinking about sitting out, and you are really coming up with all kinds of reasons and excuses. I got a problem with that because part of it, and I'm speaking to men directly, part of it makes me think that, well, you are not feeling the idea of having a woman as president, and you're coming up with other alternatives and reasons for it. And I think anybody you are talking to in a barbershop, anybody you are talking to in your house, family, church, who is coming with that kind of attitude, I think you need to ask them, how can that be? Because the women in our lives have been in our backs this entire time. They've been raising us and working and having our backs. when we get in trouble, when the system's not working for us, they are the ones who are marching out there. And so now you are thinking about sitting out or even supporting somebody who has a history of denigrating you because you think that's a sign of strength, because that's what being a man is, putting a woman down. That's not acceptable. This shouldn't even be a question. But he then also goes on and he proceeds to say, don't make me get Michelle, and so on and so forth. The man talks to us like he's a slave master. He talks to us like he's our daddy. He talks to us as if we are children. And he talks to us as if he's a dictator, something that Democrats seem to be totally against. And they preach incessantly about Donald J. Trump. But yet they too do the exact same thing and exude the exact same symptoms that they want to tell the Republicans are doing the same thing. This is the same group of people that love to talk about how Trump was going to be a dictator when he first ran into office, that says he's a racist, that says he's a fascist, that he gives not a damn about people of color, or he doesn't give a damn about foreigners, and especially he doesn't give a damn about blacks. The Democrats tell you everything that is bad about Trump. Nothing about the man is ever good. He can't do anything right, always does everything wrong. He's basically Satan's spawn to these people. These people completely operate off of hatred. They completely operate off of what they want to believe about the man, no matter how much information you disseminate about him. They completely want to monopolize the vote of the minorities who have been supporting Democrats for the longest of times, more specifically black people. Now, in his quote, and he's not the only one that feels the way that he's felt. I've been seeing videos of black men and women on the Democratic side who've been coming out and they've been expressing themselves. One of which is apparently, I just discovered from my father, is apparently a relative of ours, and he feels the same way and has called black people who are voting for Donald J. Trump pussies and weak men and all this other shit that's coming out from this man's mouth. Which again, and you're entitled to feel how you want to feel, believe what you want to believe. I don't think that kind of language is necessary when you're trying to have a conversation and convince people to come to your side about your candidate. I don't think that's how you talk to the other side of whom you feel is crazy and they shouldn't be voting for this man and XYZ. But yet here we are sitting up here calling men, black men in particular, who want to vote for a different candidate of pussies and not real men, and and are just going to be subjected to slavery over and over again. Says the very same people who continue to keep propagating that we should be voting for a woman who can't even, well, for one, she can't complete a sentence without a teleprompter. She can't answer questions directly. She cannot even provide you the necessary policies that may very well help to alleviate some of the symptoms of adversity and struggle that we face within various categories of our lives, whether if it is within economics, whether if it is within the cultural divide within the United States, the international foreign problems that persist outside of the United States perimeter. This woman that they want us to vote for so bad because she's apparently black, because she went to a HBCU, because she's suddenly claiming out of nowhere. She hasn't been claiming that she's been black for the past decade since she's been in the Senate. But yet they now want to make proclamations. Kamala Harris is suddenly this black woman that really cares about black people. But seldom has she really been dealing with us on this level up until the election year. And all of a sudden, black people are now making proclamations that this woman is a black woman. Yet and still, the woman for the longest of time, as far as from what I've seen, she's always claimed that she was of Indian heritage. She's never gave reverence to the black community up until she realized that she needed our vote in part and along with her party. Now she wants to finally claim, due to her Jamaican father, that she's suddenly black, which just because you're Jamaican, that doesn't make you black. There's plenty of people that live in Jamaica, right? Just like there's plenty of people that live in Rome. That doesn't make people, everybody that lives in Rome, white. It just simply means these people dwell in Rome. They are Roman citizens. And anybody of any ethnic group can live in Rome and be considered a Roman. You can get a black Roman. You can get a white Roman. You could get a Hispanic Roman. It just depends on who dwells there, who decides to become a citizen of that sovereign country. And in the same respect, Jamaica is no different. And as far as from what we've seen from Kamala's heritage, this woman is not even exclusively a black woman. She is Indian, she is white, which she barely speaks about, as much as she wants to call white people racist. Joe Biden, anybody. She never wants to proclaim that heritage. But now all of a sudden you care about black heritage. And then you want to go around and want to create all these weird ass accents and pretend like you're black when you're really not. Speak a lingo that you really don't speak. Talk to people in a language you really don't talk, which they call speaking in code, but she doesn't even speak in code correctly. She really doesn't. And it looks silly because it makes her look like a chameleon. It makes her look like an absolute fake, a farce, a fucking mirage. And at the end of the day, it's this typical nonsense that every time someone is coming along proclaiming that they're black and they're going to do stuff for the black community, they never proceed to do it. And black people fall for the okie doke all the time when it comes to these politicians, particularly ex-President Barack Obama, and now wanting to endorse the candidate Kamala Harris and make her the new messiah for the black community. When as soon as she gets in there, she's not going to give a two shits about either any of y'all, including the ones who vote for her. But the only reason I dare to believe a lot of people are voting for Kamala Harris is because they simply hate Donald Trump. It's not because they liked her. If they liked her that much, why didn't black people vote for her in droves when she first ran for the presidency? Why didn't she maintain the majority of the black voting bloc? If black people really gave her two shits about her, they didn't care about her then. Now all of a sudden you care about voting for her now? And that's only because that man is going into office, potentially. Potentially. I'm not saying he's there yet, because this is a very tight race. And I know I got off on talking about her, but let's drive this back home to President Obama. And as well as these other black men and women that seem to have a strong disdain for some black people who are finally saying, I am not going to keep doing what my grandparents have been doing for decades and decades and decades, and they've gotten nothing out of it. More specifically, the boomer generation, because a lot of people from that era seem to be gung ho about just constantly voting down Democrat, never voting Republican because it's all Republican bad, but all Democratic good. As if the Democrats have never done anything wrong since they've ever been in office. As if they never come up with any shitty policies ever since they've been in office. For some reason, if a man shit talks about damn near everybody, that makes him bad. If a man actually critiques the specific groups of people within a race of people that are doing bad and evil shit to everybody, suddenly that makes him a racist. If a man wants to keep not necessarily everyone out of a country, but to vet people to the point to where we can get the decent ones to come into the country that will contribute and leave out the shitty ones like the rapist, the cartel, the gangs, and all of those people, suddenly that makes you a xenophobe. I don't quite understand what we're doing here. We want to take in everybody knowing that we cannot do that. We want to pay for everyone to have the equal resources like the average American citizen, knowing that our resources will easily be contested if we have an overflow of immigrants coming into the country that we knew from the inception we couldn't take care of. But yet, this is who they want you to vote for. Someone who has been in office for as long as they have, who has been in office for as long as they have, and will sit there and say, she can't do anything right now because she's the VP. She has limited power. She has the second most powerful position in the land. If she can make, if she can break ties within decisions within the Senate, that is power. Believe it or not, that's power. And to say that she can't do anything at all, and then she even goes on her campaign and says that she's been in a participant and has been involved in almost every decision that the Biden administration has made. Ladies and gentlemen, she is a part of a body. She is a part of an administrative body at that. At your job, you have some degree of power within the position that you do. When I go to my job, I have a certain degree of power in the position that I do, especially if I have duties and responsibilities that deals with confidential or private information of people that are coming from a foreign or a foreign country that is unbeknownst to ours, a culture that is unbeknownst to ours. And this man wants to sit here and he wants to come to us as black men and tell us that he's disappointed, that he finds it a problem that we won't vote for a woman, and that it makes it, and that we find strength in a man who denigrates us. Haven't the Democratic Party, been denigrating us ever since we've been fucking voting for the Democrats? Have not at every turn when black people have voted for the Democratic Party, have they always put blacks last? The same man that's sitting up here telling black men that he's disappointed in the fact that there's not a lot of turnout for Kamala Harris is the same man that even said on an interview when they asked him, well, why don't you target some of your plans, some plans for the African American community? He said, that's not how that works. But yet when he was running as president, he was gung ho about using the black vote, using the idea of being a black man to get into office, using the idea of being a person of color, identity politics to get into office, and tried to speak directly to us. And we all were like, yes, we were just like him. Yes, we can. We wanted him in there. The country wanted him in there. It wasn't just black people, white people wanted him in there. That's how he got in there. We all wanted him in there. And this is the same man. He didn't do anything for the people that he's now speaking to. He has not spoken to black men and women as a collective in years, only up until this point. And now he wants to tell black Americans, I'm disappointed that you haven't come and turned out for a woman that understands your struggles, your pains, your experiences. Kamala Harris don't know shit about the African American community. This is the same woman that sat up here and said that this is the same woman that sat up here and said that she used to make collard, either it was a clean collard greens in the bathtub. She said something along those lines, but something about making collard greens in the bathtub. I have never heard, for as long as I have been a black man and some other stuff for the longest of time, I have never heard black people ever say, black Americans at that, ever say that they have cooked collard greens in the bathtub. You all put it in the comment section. I could be wrong. Maybe you all do it. I have never heard of that. And I've been around for a long time. Have a black family who came from the South. 5 generations. I have never heard this. But Kamala Harris apparently has had an interesting, exclusive black experience I don't think any of us have ever heard of up until this point. The same woman who claims that she's black, but she has never spoken up about being black up until the election cycle. She's never given two shits about that, and not that that even should even matter. But the Democrats brought it up, and then when we all began to question her blackness, and now that she's actually her heritage is being investigated by YouTuber Candace Owens, and some of us who have also been kind of treading into little bits and pieces, little nuggets of her her birth certificate and her father and things of that nature, we're coming up with apparently some theories and possibilities that Kamala Harris may not be exactly who she's portraying herself to be from a heritage standpoint. But she's exclusively banking on this whole thing about being black all of a sudden. But from all I have seen, she took a lot more pride being an Indian. Looking at some of the pictures that she's even posted, it was of an Indian family. I have saw very few black people. And even these some of these black people that are listed in her book, they're even being found to be suspicious. Like this Finnegan woman. But we're not going to even go into that. Let me speak to Obama. This is where the title of the video comes into play. Sir, you do not own our votes as men, as black men at that. You don't own shit related to us. We're men. And at the end of the day, we are going to vote for who we so choose. You all are the ones that preach that Donald Trump denigrates black people. As far as from what I've seen, even going back as before I was born, there are plenty of videos of Donald J. Trump having fun, talking shit, having conversations with black men of renown and black men who are not even so renowned. Black people as a collective, before the politics, loved the hell out of Donald J. Trump. And Donald J. Trump loved the hell out of them. Oprah Winfrey, before she even went on ahead and endorsed Kamala Harris, loved the hell out of Donald J. Trump, so much so she wrote a letter to the man talking about how much she loved him. Snoop Dogg loved the hell out of Donald J. Trump. Steve Harvey, when he met Donald Trump, he thought he was a cool guy. But now we're sitting up here suddenly acting as if the man is the most evil, racist person on the planet because he became the most unconventional politician there is. He was never a politician. And people knew him coming into it. He was a shit talker, that he had a past, that he wasn't perfect. The man has some narcissistic tendencies. He's discursive in his speech, granted. Sometimes it's hard to get Trump to answer questions directly. I noticed some things about Trump. He gets easily distracted. He lets everyone, sometimes when people say things to him he doesn't like, he has to try to prove himself. Yes, all of that. But during his presidency, people have admitted left and right and in the middle, their lives were better under Trump. Black men have reasons for why they're voting for him. And it has nothing to do with the fact that she's a woman, but it is the fact that she is incompetent and she has not presented black men a goddamn thing to vote for. You don't get to tell us shit about who the hell we need to vote for. We vote for who we want to. And if you have a problem with it, then maybe you need to have a town hall with black men and let black men tell you how they feel about the Democratic Party. How about we confront you, God, Savior, Massa? How about we confront you? Debate you on the stage, and you tell us how we're supposed to keep continuously vote for you and vote for Kamala Harris and vote for the Democratic Party for years into futurity. You're not my father. You're certainly not me. You're not my master. And you're not going to tell me as a black man, you're not going to tell the next black man how they need to vote. And for the guys out there, and let me say something to these men, especially these men that's talking shit alongside Obama, and they want to call us weak men and pussies and all this other stuff. Talk all the shit that you want, sirs. That's great and all. But here's what I'm never going to do. I'm not going to stoop to the level that you all stoop to, where you want to call men who don't vote like you do weak and pussies. But here's what I will say. The mentality that you have is very slavery minded. It's slavery oriented. To tell another man he's a pussy because he won't vote for the candidate that you vote for. You're the slave. You would rather sit here and let this man really tell other men that he's disappointed and that he has a problem with the fact that we won't vote for a woman. What if this woman ran the country to the ground? Are you then going to say that you're disappointed in these men, or are you actually going to point at the person that's causing the problems and you're going to call her out on her bullshit and say that she's and that she was horrible? We shouldn't have endorsed her. She should have did a better job. Y'all will never hold her accountable, but you want to hold men accountable every single time. And all because she's a woman. That is fucking pathetic if you ask me. No, I'm not voting for Kamala Harris. To hell with you and your disappointment. To hell with you and you saying you're going to get Michelle. Michelle ain't going to do a damn thing. And neither are you, sir. And I have nothing personal to anybody that chooses to vote for Kamala Harris. Unlike y'all, I'm not going to get mad about you voting for Kamala Harris. The only thing I have ever asked anybody to do is make sure that you're informed. Make sure that you're actually voting for your interests, not for someone else. Because at the end of the day, if you vote for who everyone else wants to vote for, guess who they're going to forget about at the end of the day? They're going to forget about you. They don't care about you. They want their interest to be met. Yours is not being met by trying to be in communion with everyone else. Sometimes it is okay to be selfish. And it is okay to vote for you and your family and your household. We work too hard to put a vote in that doesn't relate to what we want. We are Americans, but more importantly, we're human beings. Make your decision, stand up for yourself and your rights and what you believe is important for you. They do it. So how come you can't? And that's what I'm saying for the men. I'm not trying to sit up here and be macho and tell you what to do. But what I am saying is if you really want to vote for Trump, go vote for the man. And don't let somebody like Obama starstruck you. Fuck that dude. I'm sorry, but fuck him. You don't get to come and tell us who we should and shouldn't vote for, man. Don't own me. I probably done upsetted some people. But at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, you are your own man and woman. So am I. And whether if you choose to love or hate me after this video, I can respect that. I can respect your love. I can respect your hatred. We're all human beings. But my message is not to tell you who you should vote for. My message is to tell you to be informed of who you're voting for and make your decision based off that because your vote is not for me. Your vote is for your residing in this country and making sure that it not only just helps to prosper you, but it prospers us all into a better the betterment of our culture, of our society, and for our morals and for our children more than anything. That's it. And that does not mean to vote in community with everyone else. It means to vote for the things that's going to help you and your family succeed and even help others succeed if they want to genuinely from a neutral standpoint, they just want to live. They just want to be at peace. They just want to be human. And that's something that we should be aspiring to actually attempt to achieve. As opposed to all of this word salad that leads to nothing with no so called concrete proposals, much of which is either coming from Joe Biden or suddenly adopting from Donald Trump and saying that it's hers. She clearly has little to none. with exception to talking about capital gains, a $6,000, a $7,000 child tax credit, and $50,000 for people that want to buy homes. $50,000 in this fucking economy, that's not going to do anything. But that's neither here nor there. So, no, none of you, Democrat, Republican, Independent, you do not own our votes. You don't own our voices. We're not slaves. We're free men. And we're going to continue to be free men. And if you men out there believe in yourselves, vote for who you want to vote for, not for what your girlfriend wants, your mama, your daddy, your cousin, your auntie, your uncle, nephews, and nieces. I want to say fuck them, but I'm not going to say that. Love them. But to hell with their opinion about your vote. Stand your ground. Don't be insecure. Don't lose what you believe. Stand your ground, and you'll go far that way. They don't have to love you anymore. And they can ostracize you, shun you, whatever. But at the end of the day, you still have your life. Life doesn't stop because you vote for either Kamala or Donald. You still have 365 days in a year, 7 days in a week, 24 hours and 60 minutes. None of that ever changes despite what your vote may be. So go out there and vote for who you want to vote for. And don't let people like these wannabe free people and populists that are really dictators in disguise tell you who you should and shouldn't be voting for because of the color of your skin. How ironic for people that's calling the man that we're voting for a racist. But I'll leave it right there. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Malik Washington. I hope you enjoyed this very passionate and controversial video. Please like, comment, share the video if you want to, dislike it if you want to. I would love to hear your opinions and see what you have to say. I look forward to reading those comments and also replying to them and challenging them in some respect. All right, ladies and gentlemen, love you all. Peace.